The New Jersey Center for Teaching and Learning presents Agriculture, Nutrient and Water Cycles. Table of Contents. The roles of water in Earth's surface processes. In this unit, we will discuss the water cycle, states of matter in the water cycle, forces of the water cycle, biogeochemical cycles, and irrigation. The water cycle. Wonderful water. Water is a part of our daily lives and all around us. But have you ever wondered, where does water come from? At your table, come up with an idea of where water comes from. The water cycle. Water will evaporate from a liquid form to a gas form and form water vapor. It will be stored in the atmosphere as clouds. And then water is also stored as ice and snow on mountains. And then through the process of precipitation, the water will return to a liquid form, or through ice and snow melting and forming runoff. And all that precipitation runoff will go down the mountains, back into the ocean, and then the cycle will continue. The water cycle. The water on Earth is continuously moving through what is known as the water cycle. The water cycle details the movement of water throughout Earth and its journey between liquid, gas, and solid states. The water cycle is a never-ending cycle that has been going on for millions of years. What powers the water cycle? Where does the water cycle get its energy from? The answer should not surprise you. It is also where every organism on Earth gets their energy. What powers the water cycle? The energy from the sun powers the water cycle. The sun heats water and turns it into water vapor, starting the cycle. As the water condenses, it falls back to Earth and returns to water stores where it is again heated by the sun, thus again starting the cycle over. The water cycle steps. The water cycle is composed of multiple steps during which water can be found in all three states of matter. Let's break down the water cycle and look at the steps. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, interception, storage, infiltration, percolation, transpiration, and runoff. Evaporation. The main force behind the water cycle is the sun. The sun heats up water stored on Earth, which evaporates and rises in the atmosphere. Water vapor, although not visible, surrounds us all the time. This is considered the starting point of the water cycle. What are some examples of water stores on Earth? Evapotranspiration. Evaporation is the process of transforming from a liquid to a gas. The sun heats the liquid water and turns it into water vapor. Another type of evaporation that contributes water vapor to the cycle is evapotranspiration, which is the loss of water from the soil through both evaporation and transpiration from plants. Condensation. As the evaporated water vapor rises, it mixes with air currents and is taken higher into the atmosphere. As the warm water vapor cools, it condenses. What is condensation? What happens to the glass if you have a cold drink on a hot day? Condensation. Condensation is the opposite of evaporation and is a process by which a vapor becomes a liquid. As water condenses, millions of tiny droplets of water join to create clouds. Precipitation. As the clouds move through the atmosphere, they increase in size as they collect more water vapor. Eventually, clouds reach a point where they are unable to hold any more water vapor and they release it in the form of precipitation. Precipitation is water falling from the atmosphere to Earth. What forms of precipitation can you think of? Interception. As precipitation falls, some of it may become interrupted on its journey through the water cycle by plants or puddles. This interruption of the water cycle creates a smaller subcycle. The precipitation that is intercepted is evaporated back into the atmosphere before it completes the cycle. Water flows from precipitation. Upon reaching Earth's surface, much precipitation forms runoff. Running along the surface, two bodies of water such as streams, rivers, or oceans while being subject to evaporation. Some precipitation infiltrates the surface, adding moisture to the soil just beneath the surface. After infiltration, water percolates through layers of soil until reaching impervious soil. It saturates that layer of soil above the impervious layer, becoming groundwater. Percolation. Water also percolates or moves downward through openings in the soil to replenish aquifers under the ground. Percolation describes the action of water as it moves through spaces in the soil and rock. Percolation. This shows how coffee can be brewed by pouring hot water onto ground coffee beans held in a filter. Explain at your table how this type of percolation works and is similar to the one which happens on Earth. Runoff. Precipitation that travels over the landscape is runoff. Precipitation falls on the land, flows over land, runoff, and runs into streams, rivers, and lakes. Runoff from snowmelt is also a major component to the water cycle. Snowfields act as water stores during cooler seasons and release their water in the form of runoff during warmer months. Storage. Water is constantly moving through the water cycle, but the majority of it is in storage. Water is stored not only in visible sources such as rivers and lakes, but also in groundwater or ice caps. Some water in storage is quickly returned to the cycle, while some may be locked up for a while. Name some major bodies of water near you which store water. Where is the water? Most of Earth's water supply is in the oceans. 96.5% of it is salt water. Only 2.5% of Earth's water supply is fresh water. Of that 2.5% of Earth's fresh water, most of that is locked up in glaciers and ice caps, 68.7% of that 2.5%. 30.1% of it is groundwater, and then only 1.2% of the 2.5% fresh water is located in surface water, other sources of fresh water, and of that fresh water supplies on the surface, 69% of it is located in the ground as ice or permafrost, and lakes account for about 20.9% of that fresh water. And then the remainder is divided up between the soil moisture, swamps and marshes, rivers, living things, and the atmosphere, which is at 3% of that. Where is the water? Most of the Earth's water, 96.5%, is found in the oceans. Although most ocean water is not polluted, it is also not potable or drinkable, and, in general, it cannot be used for farming. Almost 70% of Earth's fresh water is trapped as ice in the polar ice caps and glaciers. About 30% of the Earth's fresh water is found as groundwater, stored underground in cracks and spaces in rocks, sand, and soil. Only about 1% of the Earth's fresh water is found as surface water in rivers and lakes.